In the heart of Austin, Texas, a rising star's life was stolen in a moment of unimaginable violence. This is the story of Anna Moriah Wilson, her brilliance, her loss, and the search for justice. Welcome back to Chilling Fireside Stories, where I tell true crime stories with the utmost care and respect for the victims and bearable for my community. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It truly helps me continue bringing these important stories to you. These cases deserve to be remembered. Now, settle in and let's begin. Anna Moriah Wilson, affectionately known as Mo, was an extraordinary individual whose life was defined by talent, ambition, and kindness. Born on May 18, 1996, in Littleton, New Hampshire, to her parents Eric and Karen, Mo grew up alongside her brother Matthew, completing their close-knit family of four. Though born in New Hampshire, Mo and her brothers spent their childhood in Vermont, a fitting backdrop for a family that thrived on athleticism. From an early age, Mo embraced sports, gravitating towards skiing and cycling, two activities perfectly suited to Vermont's natural beauty. Her passion for athletics was matched by her sharp intellect. After graduating from Burke Mountain Academy in 2014, Mo pursued a bachelor's degree in engineering at Dartmouth College. Despite stepping into the engineering field after graduation, she soon realized that her true calling lay elsewhere. With undeniable talent and a relentless drive, Mo transitioned into professional cycling, dedicating herself to mastering her craft. Mo's commitment to success was awe-inspiring, earning her recognition not just as a top competitor, but as someone destined for greatness. Her rise through the ranks of professional cycling was nothing short of remarkable. In November 2020, she shattered records by completing Moab's White Rim Trail, a grueling 100-mile loop, in under 7 hours, setting a new standard for female cyclists. Her achievements made her a household name in the cycling community, where she was admired not only for her athleticism but also for her warmth and genuine kindness. Mo was a bright light, leaving lasting impressions on everyone she encountered. In September 2021, fellow professional cyclist Colin Strickland became one of many captivated by Mo's talent. During a 3-day gravel race in Idaho, Colin met Mo for the first time and was struck by her remarkable abilities. Their friendship blossomed, and Colin envisioned opportunities to connect her with potential sponsors. Later, their paths crossed again in Bentonville, Arkansas, where Mo was competing in a race. Interestingly, Colin's girlfriend, Caitlyn Armstrong, was also participating. This weekend would set the stage for a troubling chapter in their lives. Caitlyn Armstrong, who lacked the skill and recognition that Mo commanded, was rumored to harbor deep envy toward Mo. Many believed that Caitlyn's jealousy toward Mo's talent and connection with Colin began to fester during this trip. Tensions culminated in a heated argument between Caitlyn and Colin, resulting in their temporary breakup, a pivotal moment that many later viewed as the beginning of an unfolding tragedy. According to Colin Strickland, the argument that led to his breakup with Caitlyn Armstrong stemmed from a seemingly minor incident during a trip to Bentonville, Arkansas. Colin had gone on a bike ride with a group of cyclists, but Caitlyn wasn't invited. Whether or not Mo Wilson was part of that group remains unclear, but Colin insisted that Caitlyn's exclusion wasn't personal. It was simply because she lacked the experience to keep up with the group. Caitlyn, however, was furious, and the tension escalated into a heated fight that ended their relationship. This breakup was complicated by the fact that Colin and Caitlyn were living together in Austin. The two had met on a dating app in 2019, and while Colin wasn't ready to move in together, circumstances pushed them into cohabitation. A severe winter storm had damaged Caitlyn's home, leaving her in need of a place to stay, and Colin offered his home as a solution. Their relationship, described by Colin as tumultuous and on again off again, had already seen its share of ups and downs. By the time of the Bentonville argument, they were off again. Just days after the breakup, Colin reconnected with Mo, and their friendship quickly turned romantic. For 2 weeks they explored this new dynamic, but it was short-lived. Colin and Caitlyn reconciled in early November, ending his brief romance with Mo. Colin later claimed there was no overlap between the relationships, emphasizing that he and Mo had never officially defined their connection. He also insisted he never cheated on Caitlyn, maintaining that once he and Caitlyn got back together, his relationship with Mo became strictly platonic. Mo's family and friends supported this, stating that in the weeks leading up to her death, Mo was not in a relationship. Caitlyn, however, saw things differently. During Colin and Mo's brief romantic involvement, Caitlyn discovered Mo's phone number and began contacting her. These interactions, described by some as harassment, included texts in which Caitlyn claimed Colin was her boyfriend and demanded Mo stay away from him. Mo confided in Colin about Caitlyn's behavior, expressing fear and asking him to intervene. Despite this, Colin chose to reconcile with Caitlyn, a decision that baffled many. From the outside, Colin and Caitlyn's relationship appeared stable in the months that followed. Behind closed doors, however, Colin was grappling with Caitlyn's growing jealousy. The fact that Mo, younger and more talented, remained a part of Colin's life as a friend only fueled Caitlyn's insecurities. In May 2022, Mo flew from her home in San Francisco to Austin, Texas, to compete in the 150-mile Gravel Locos race in Hico. As one of the top competitors, she was expected to win. Mo stayed with a close friend known by her last name Cash, who lived just 2 hours from the race location. On May 11th, Mo and Colin made plans to meet up as friends. They exchanged texts throughout the day and planned their evening. The two spent some time swimming at Deep Eddy Pool and grabbing dinner at Pool Burger, a nearby restaurant. They both seemed relaxed and enjoying their time together. By 8:36 p.m., Colin dropped Mo off at her friend's house, seemingly ending an ordinary evening. Data from Mo's phone revealed she spent the next 37 minutes texting and using her device. Her final text was sent at 9:13 p.m. Tragically, just 2 minutes later, audio from a nearby security camera recorded harrowing sounds, screaming, followed by 2 gunshots in quick succession, and a third shot seconds later. For more than 30 agonizing minutes, Mo lay bleeding on the floor of her friend's bathroom alone. When Cash returned home at approximately 10 p.m., she was confronted with an unimaginable scene, Mo's lifeless body in a pool of blood. In her panic, Cash called 911.
Austin 911.
I need EMS.
Tell me exactly what happened.
My friend is staying with me, and I just walked in, and she's laying on the bathroom floor, and I don't know what happened. I can't tell what happened.
Is she awake?
She's not awake. There's blood all over her face and all on the back of her head.
Is she breathing?
No, she's not breathing.
I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Count out loud so I can count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
At 10 p.m., the first responders arrived at Cash's home, finding her desperately performing chest compressions on Mo's motionless body.
30. Do I stop?
What?
I don't know what happened. I just walked in on her.
Sit up. Okay.
One second. Let her get up.
Yeah, here.
Okay, I'll let you go so you can talk to them, okay?
Yeah, I had shot. Nobody heard any shots? We don't know how long she's been down? No.
No. She doesn't live here.
What's her name?
Her name is Moriah. Moriah is her middle name. Her first name is Anna.
She said she's from San Francisco?
Well, she's from Vermont, but she's living in San Francisco.
So she came to visit you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's here for a bike race this weekend.
The investigation into Mo's murder began immediately. Evidence at the scene included shell casings scattered near her body, and the neighborhood was canvassed for surveillance footage.
There's a shell casing right here next to my right knee.
There's another one right here. We got 3 shell casings.
Over medication.
At least.
Alright, pause just a second, Mike. Yeah, I had shot. Nobody heard any shots? We don't know how long she's been down? No.
Detectives also noted that Mo's bike was missing, later recovering it just 68 feet from the house, abandoned by the perpetrator. Then came the breakthrough. A neighbor's security camera captured a critical piece of evidence. At 8:37 p.m., just 1 minute after Mo returned home, a black Jeep Grand Cherokee equipped with a bike rack and luggage rack was seen circling the neighborhood repeatedly. Although the camera couldn't capture the vehicle's license plate, investigators quickly identified it as belonging to Caitlyn Armstrong. Cash provided investigators with details of Mo's day, including her outing with Colin Strickland. This information prompted law enforcement to question Colin immediately. By May 12th, officers with the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force arrived at Colin's Austin residence, armed with a search warrant.
Colin, is that the first name? Yes. Do you know Anna?
Mo. And then Mo.
Yeah, everybody calls her Mo.
Last name's Wilson.
Rider, she's a
yes.
gravel rider.
Yes, I do. There's really no easy way to say this, sir. So apparently last night she passed away.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Right now it's an open investigation, but it is being investigated as a homicide. Are you okay?
We went to see Betty yesterday afternoon, and then we heard her, and I dropped her at her church. But the apartment she's been staying at with friend Kat.
The investigation then took an unexpected turn when two of Caitlyn Armstrong's closest friends contacted the Austin Police Department. Both independently shared concerns that Caitlyn might be involved in the murder, providing information that raised the likelihood of her involvement. With mounting evidence and Caitlyn's connection to both Mo and Colin, investigators zeroed in on her as a prime suspect. When they arrived at Colin and Caitlyn's shared residence on May 12th to execute the warrant, their suspicions seemed confirmed. The very same black Jeep Grand Cherokee was sitting in the driveway. The warrant yielded further damning evidence, including 2 firearms and shell casings, which matched those found at the crime scene and were linked to Caitlyn's 9mm weapon. While the search was underway, Colin and Caitlyn were separately questioned by investigators. Colin voluntarily accompanied detectives to the police department, where he cooperated fully and shared detailed information. He described his rocky, on and off relationship with Caitlyn and admitted to the brief romantic involvement he'd had with Mo during one of their breakups. He also revealed Caitlyn's unsettling behavior, including contacting Mo during their time apart and harassing her, which had left Mo feeling scared.
Has Caitlyn ever gotten so mad in the past that, not necessarily thinking that she would do anything, but I mean, has she ever threatened anything, or?
She's always seemed like such a mild, gentle person. That's all I can say. It doesn't make sense. It's being very disturbing.
In a surprising admission, Colin told investigators that once he reconciled with Caitlyn, he had to go to lengths to keep his continued friendship with Mo hidden. He changed Mo's name in his phone and deleted all their text exchanges after each conversation to ensure Caitlyn wouldn't find out. Colin insisted he and Mo were only friends during this period, though some speculated otherwise. However, regardless of the nature of their relationship, Colin emphasized that Mo's murder was entirely unjustified. Colin provided investigators with a timeline of his actions the evening of May 11th, corroborated by GPS and cell data. After dropping Mo off, he stopped in an alleyway and texted Caitlyn, "Hey, are you out? I want to drop some flowers for Allison at her son's house up north, and my phone died. Heading home unless you have another food suggestion." He admitted the text was a lie meant to hide his time spent with Mo. However, Caitlyn already knew where Colin had been and who he had been with. Colin also positively identified Caitlyn's Jeep as the vehicle she drove home alone on the night of the murder. Additionally, he confirmed he had purchased 2 firearms for their household, including the 9mm pistol registered to Caitlyn, which was used in the crime. Caitlyn's interview unfolded under entirely different circumstances. Detectives uncovered an unrelated Class B felony arrest warrant for Caitlyn, stemming from her refusal to pay for Botox treatments at a med spa. Though the warrant was ultimately invalid due to an error in her birth date, Caitlyn agreed to stay and answer investigators' questions voluntarily. During questioning, she remained silent and unmoving, answering few questions.
I've never heard of this warrant before that you're talking about, and
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you can give me any information on it.
So,
that you want to. Are they knocking here?
I think it's for something else. So with the warrant, apparently that warrant, the date of birth was wrong. So it had your name, but the date of birth is wrong, so it's to a different person. So you're not under arrest, okay?
Okay.
I know, it's a little crazy.
So they just came to my house and put me in handcuffs for no reason?
So there was a warrant that they thought was you. Apparently, the date of birth was off. So this is going to be consensual at this point because you're not under arrest. The door is unlocked. You can leave at any time. So
I would love to leave. An attorney here.
I would really like to talk to you and clear some stuff up because Colin did bring your name up, and I think there's a lot more information that you have that can kind of clear some stuff up. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I feel like I should have an attorney present.
So that's totally your choice. So sorry, I don't have control over that part, okay? So let me kind of explain some stuff. Did you hear about what's happened over the past 24 hours?
Colin walked in the house and said one of the women in the cycling community passed away.
Yes. Yeah. While Colin was talking to us, your name came up. And it sounds like there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and it sounds like, Colin's been maybe talking to this girl for a little bit and kind of threw your name in there. I think he might be saying some stuff, and I want to get your side of it, okay? Because there's always two parts of it. He's got a very different version of everything that's going on. And so when we only hear one side, it only gives us one side to work with. Sounds like there were some issues between you and this girl, and I think that there's probably a lot more to it that you could help explain.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what you mean or what information you'd like.
Well, it sounds like maybe he went out with this girl the other day, and maybe it sounds like from what he's saying that you were a little upset about it.
That is not accurate.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to chat with you, because it's a guy. He's going to say stuff. And so we want to make sure that we get both sides of the story and everything and clear it up. What were you doing yesterday?
I would like to leave, I think.
That's completely your choice, but understand if you do, then we only have one side of the story to go on.
I'm uncertain as to even what you mean or what he could have said, because I didn't have any idea that he saw or went out with this girl.
Has he been, talking to her on the side?
Leave. I don't actually know, and I would like to leave.
Your vehicle was seen next to her house when he's saying this stuff, and then your vehicle is seen. I want to be able to explain, okay, there's a logical explanation for this. Maybe you were upset and you were just in the area or something. I don't know, because I don't have your story. When I can't explain that, and all I see is that your vehicle's over there, that kind of makes it look not too good, right? And to Colin, and we're hearing, yeah, there was some jealousy stuff going on. That doesn't sound very good.
I would like to leave, if I'm free to leave.
Okay. Is there any explanation as far as why the vehicle would be over there?
I would like to leave if I'm free to leave.
Okay.
When investigators confronted Caitlyn Armstrong with evidence tying her to the scene of Moriah Wilson's murder, including her Jeep seen near Cash's house that night, Caitlyn had no explanation. Instead, she simply nodded when detectives suggested she might have been in the area, but gave no further details. Shortly after, Caitlyn requested to leave the interview, and due to insufficient evidence at that time, authorities had no choice but to let her go. However, by now, the investigation was advancing rapidly, and detectives were increasingly confident Caitlyn was their prime suspect. Unbeknownst to investigators, Caitlyn was already plotting her escape. On May 13, 2022, just 2 days after Mo's murder, she sold her black Jeep Grand Cherokee to a CarMax dealership in South Austin for $12,200. The following day, security cameras at Austin Bergstrom International Airport captured her wearing white pants, a blue sweater, and carrying what appeared to be a yoga mat. Caitlyn booked a flight from Austin to LaGuardia Airport in New York with a layover in Houston. However, her ultimate destination remained unclear. Back in Austin, investigators were tirelessly building their case. An anonymous tip from one of Caitlyn's friends provided critical insight. Caitlyn had discovered in January 2022 that Mo and Colin Strickland were still texting. The friend revealed that Caitlyn was so enraged she was reportedly shaking with anger and even mentioned wanting to kill Mo. This shocking detail, coupled with forensic and surveillance evidence, solidified investigators' belief that Caitlyn was responsible for Mo's murder. By May 17th, less than a week after the murder, authorities obtained a warrant for Caitlyn's arrest. However, when they arrived at her residence to serve the warrant, Caitlyn was nowhere to be found. By that point, she had already flown to New York. On May 18th, she used her sister's passport to board a flight to San Jose, Costa Rica, evading authorities in the process. For the next 43 days, Caitlyn managed to remain in hiding, leaving investigators scrambling to locate her. In Costa Rica, Caitlyn settled in Santa Teresa, a remote beach town known for its beauty and serenity. It seemed like the perfect place to disappear. Not only was the town far removed from prying eyes, but it also catered to Caitlyn's passion, yoga. Back in 2018, Caitlyn had completed a month-long yoga instructor training course in Bali, and in Santa Teresa, she sought a fresh start. She changed her name to Ari Martin, drastically altered her appearance by cutting and dyeing her hair, and even underwent a nose job. For 6 weeks, Caitlyn lived a quiet life, staying at a budget-friendly hostel, teaching yoga classes, and blending in with the locals. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., Moriah's family and friends endured unimaginable heartbreak, grappling with the loss of their beloved Mo while also anxiously awaiting justice. Law enforcement intensified their search efforts, with U.S. Marshals partnering with international authorities to circulate Caitlyn's photos and issue an additional charge of unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Caitlyn's fugitive status came to an end on June 29, 2022, when U.S. Marshals captured her at the very hostel where she had been staying. She was reportedly sitting at a patio table when authorities moved in. Caitlyn's arrest was announced the following day, and extradition procedures commenced to bring her back to Texas, where she would face charges of first-degree murder and fleeing prosecution. When Caitlyn Armstrong was extradited back to the United States on July 4, 2022, the gravity of the situation was undeniable. Her bail was set at $3.5 million due to her status as an extreme flight risk, and she now faced charges of first-degree murder for the killing of Moriah Wilson. The arrest marked the end of Caitlyn's 43-day run as a fugitive. Caitlyn's return to the U.S. began a long legal battle, with delays pushing the trial back multiple times, from October 2022 to June 2023, and then to October 2023. By the time the trial commenced, Caitlyn Armstrong was staring down potential sentences of up to 99 years for first-degree murder and an additional 20 years for a bizarre escape attempt in October 2023. On October 11th, while leaving a doctor's appointment in South Austin, Caitlyn briefly escaped police custody, leading officers on a 1-mile chase that involved scaling a wall. The incident added yet another layer to an already dramatic case. Opening statements for the trial began after jury selection, which established a panel of 8 women and 6 men. Judge Brenda Kennedy ruled that Caitlyn's escape attempt would be admissible evidence, a decision that underscored the prosecution's case about her propensity to flee and avoid accountability. Travis County Prosecutor Ricky Jones presented a powerful opening statement, outlining the timeline, forensic evidence, and witness testimonies that firmly connected Caitlyn Armstrong to Moriah Wilson's murder. He described Caitlyn's actions as driven by jealousy and bitterness over Moriah's relationship with Colin Strickland, emphasizing the sheer brutality of the crime and Moriah's final moments of terror.
The last thing Mo did on this earth was scream in terror. Those screams are followed by 2 gunshots. After 4 or 5 seconds silence, Caitlyn Armstrong stood over Mo Wilson. And for good measure, the defendant put another bullet right in the heart. Or videos played the camera that captures Caitlyn Armstrong circling Cash's house for about an hour before the murder.
The prosecution relied on nearly 40 witnesses, including Colin Strickland and 2 of Caitlyn Armstrong's friends, whose testimonies highlighted Caitlyn's jealousy and premeditated actions. These accounts painted a damning picture despite the absence of courtroom cameras. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's defense focused on creating doubt by arguing that investigators prematurely zeroed in on her and questioning the reliability of the evidence presented.
Was Caitlyn in the black Jeep? Who had access to the black Jeep? Who had access to the key fob to the black Jeep? Colin claimed he saw Caitlyn Armstrong come out of a black Jeep. How amazing that the one fact that he seemed to remember with greater clarity over time was the single fact that drew attention away from him and pointed the finger at Caitlyn Armstrong.
The defense argued there was no direct evidence linking Caitlyn Armstrong to Moriah Wilson's murder, questioning gaps in surveillance footage and portraying Caitlyn's escape as unrelated to the case.
One witness saw Caitlyn Armstrong allegedly commit this murder. Not one, because there isn't one. You did not hear about any direct evidence showing Caitlyn Armstrong is responsible for this crime, because there isn't any.
However, the prosecution dismantled these claims with overwhelming evidence: surveillance showing Caitlyn's Jeep near the scene, ballistics matching her 9mm handgun to the murder, DNA linking her to Moriah's bike, and GPS data placing her Jeep at the crime location. Combined with Colin Strickland's testimony, this evidence presented a compelling case that the defense struggled to dispute. The prosecution presented compelling evidence of premeditation, including Caitlyn Armstrong's deleted Google Maps screenshot of Cash's house, her obsessive searches for Mo Wilson's Strava profile, and surveillance showing her circling the neighborhood. Her internet history in Costa Rica revealed attempts to evade capture and bizarre research on fingerprint removal, further suggesting guilt. On November 16, 2023, after less than 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Caitlyn Armstrong was found guilty of murder. The sentencing phase began the very next day, allowing those closest to Mo to share their pain and loss. One of the most heart-wrenching moments came from Mo's friend, Cash, who had discovered her lifeless body and fought desperately to save her. Through tears, Cash recounted the trauma of that night, the helplessness she felt as she performed chest compressions, and the devastating moment she realized Mo was gone. Her words were a raw and powerful reminder of the human cost of Caitlyn's actions. The sentencing of Caitlyn Armstrong brought both resolution and heartbreak to those impacted by the murder of Moriah Wilson. As part of the proceedings, Moriah's loved ones had the opportunity to share their experiences and loss, creating emotional and unforgettable moments in the courtroom. Mo's mother also addressed Caitlyn with words that struck deep. She spoke not only of the incredible daughter they had lost, a talented, kind, and empathetic young woman with limitless potential, but also of the ripple effect of Caitlyn's actions. She poignantly described how Caitlyn's decision to kill Moriah had not just ended one life, but had devastated countless others. Her words served as a reminder of the profound and irreversible pain caused by Caitlyn's actions. In the end, Caitlyn Armstrong was sentenced to 90 years in prison. The sentence reflected the magnitude of her crime, a senseless and selfish act that stole the life of a 25-year-old woman on the cusp of achieving greatness. Moriah Wilson's death was a loss not only for her family and friends, but for the world, which was deprived of her talent, kindness, and contributions. In her honor, the Moriah Wilson Foundation was established by her family. This organization supports the causes and communities that Mo cared about, ensuring her legacy lives on despite her untimely death. For anyone wanting to contribute, donating to the foundation is a meaningful way to remember and celebrate Mo's life. Her story is a sobering reminder of how jealousy, unchecked emotions, and obsession can spiral into violence. Mo had a life full of promise, a heart full of love, and dreams that were cruelly stolen. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Chilling Fireside Stories. If Moriah's story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's continue to honor victims by sharing their stories and keeping their memories alive. Until next time, stay safe and look after your loved ones.